Welcome to Immigration, Marshall Islands to America, a video on the history and cultural differences between the Marshall Islands and the United States. We'll also be discussing the reasons why Marshallese people have immigrated to the U.S. and the advantages and disadvantages that ensued. First, we'll talk about the history of the Marshall Islands. Did you know that the Marshall Islands are part of the larger island group of Micronesia? They are located in the northern Pacific near the equator and consist of 24 low-lying atolls. Those atolls are composed of 1,156 individual islands and islets. Together, they form the Ratak chain and the Ralik chain, which means sunrise and sunset. In 1947, the Marshall Islands, as well as several other islands of Micronesia, became part of the Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands. During the early years of the Cold War, 1946 to 1958, the U.S. tested 67 nuclear weapons at the Pacific Proving Grounds in the Marshall Islands, including Castle Bravo, the largest atmospheric nuclear test ever conducted by the U.S. Ivy Mike, the first U.S. hydrogen bomb, destroyed the island of Elugelab in the Inuiatak Atoll in 1952. And in 1956, the Marshall Islands were regarded as by far the most contaminated place in the world by the United States Atomic Energy Commission. The Marshallese flag was adopted on May 1, 1979, when the country became self-governing. The flag consists of orange and white stripes on a blue background with the white star in the upper left corner. The orange and white stripes represent the two island chains, Ratak and Ralik. The blue represents the Pacific Ocean, and the white star has a point for all 24 atolls.
In 1999, we adopted from the Marshall Islands. We adopted a 3- and 4-year-old, Edwin and Jamie, and I don't know, it was a brand new experience for us. We had been married for about 7 years or so, and we just sort of figured, okay, it's time to do the kid thing, and so we started doing that, and we weren't sure just where to go. We weren't sure what to do with all that. I mean. We had some friends that adopted from China. We had friends that adopted from Russia, and we just knew just all the hassle, the paperwork, like friends from Russia, for example. They would have them come over and they'd do all the court proceedings and pay all the fees, and then they'd tell them, "I'm sorry, your kids aren't available yet. So can you come back in a month?" So they'd have to do it all over again. And then friends of ours that adopted from China, they had this little baby. It sounds sort of weird to say this, but it was the cutest little thing. It's like, where'd you get that? It's kind of our response. Like, can I have one of those? It was so cute. And then they started talking about the Marshall Islands, and we never heard of the Marshalls. And we come to find out it's on the other side of the planet, and it was a whole adventure. And so we found out that they made it very easy to do the adoption. They did all the court stuff right there on the island. There was a judge that would come around. I guess our day was Wednesday, so we did it. Actually, it was Wednesday, April 15th was our court date. And so they made it very simple for us, and it had to be approved by, it's a matriarchal society, so they have a queen, and so the queen had to approve that the adoption was happening, and so the parents of our children, they had to be in court to basically approve that we're doing it legally, because while we were there was a couple from Australia, and she had sent her husband out to basically buy a child. They were there buying babies. I mean, that happens in these countries. They just, because they're so underprivileged, they're so third world that, you offer a mom $1,000 for a baby, and she's like, oh, okay, it's just kind of sad. So, so we had to go to court, and they had to testify that we weren't coercing them, and they were doing this of their own free will, and which is kind of weird. Where why would the parent agree to adopt their child out? But, they were both very sick, and so they kind of understood that if they didn't find somebody to kind of help them raise their kids, that they probably wouldn't survive.
There's a thing we do every May Day. We do it it's on May the 1st, but we celebrate it after school and after work, because that's when everybody's done with everything. And there's like sport we do, like there's volleyball, basketball, there's like a lot of teams. It's like our family, it's like all the Marshallese people doing it around the world. But mostly there's a lot in Arkansas, and that's where the big events at. but here we do it too, but it's not that big as Arkansas. There's Marshallese food, there's music, there's dance, and there's all those sports we play as a team.
you know, that's how the adventure started, and just, you know, all the new things that they experienced when they got back here. They'd never seen snow. There's no thunderstorms in the Marshall Islands because there's no cold air, so they'd never heard thunder. They'd never seen lightning. They'd never played with a light switch. Just everything. It was pretty cool. I mean, we learned a lot.
Yeah.
You know, our learning curve was vertical when it came to trying to figure out how to handle kids. But you know, the environment, it was an island. I mean, about every afternoon it would come across and it'd rain a little bit. It's always 75 to 80 degrees. It's never cold. They didn't know what cold weather was. You know, it was never really hot. They never got 100-degree days because there was always a breeze. And so I imagine it was probably a pretty good shock when we got the kids back here. You know, we got off the plane and it was like 55 degrees in Indy, or in Louisville, or where did we go? St. Louis. And so, you know, they were about frozen. So we had them dressed in, like, you know, hoodies and little sweatpants and everything. And everybody else is walking around in shorts because it's spring. And we got these kids bundled up like they came from, you know, the winter, you know, snow. But, you know, it was just, it was kind of cool though. I guess as far as, you know, what they're doing now, how they're adjusting, I guess, you know, they weren't brother and sister on the island, but, you know, they growing up, they fought like brother and sister. You know, they were siblings, you know, and they've since, you know, had a chance to meet their parents, you know, because everybody's moved over here from the islands now. So, you know, so the families are here.